believes in this core values, and they're amazing. It's love yourself, love your family, and love your life. She helps new entrepreneurs get clear, organized, and paid while connecting them to like-minded entrepreneurs so that you can own your superpower and gain knowledge that leads you to elevation. So with that being said, Taste This Show is streaming on multiple platforms. This happens every Monday through Friday at 8:30 a.m. Central Eastern Standard Time. It happens promptly at 8:30 a.m. Eastern
Oh,
Standard
good
Time,
morning.
and
Good
we're
morning,
streaming on
everyone.
multiple platforms. But so we're gonna stream on Facebook starting at
We are
8:30.
getting
We
started,
do
getting
30 minutes on
everything worked
Facebook,
up
and then we literally have an additional 30 minutes so that we can have commentary and conversation on
as Jasmine is
Clubhouse.
doing the
With that
introduction
being
on
said, I want
Clubhouse.
to go ahead and welcome the amazing Alicia Richardson to the stage.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone who is here. Good morning, Ebony. Good morning, Jasmine. I'm excited today. We are coming to, we're like at the end of the week for the Abundance series. And so we've been talking a lot about abundance this week. Not right now. Go sit and watch TV. And of course, I am a mompreneur. So you can hear my little guy in the back. I homeschool as well. Um, so so today we are going to go ahead and jump into the topic now. I'm definitely excited about what we're going to talk about today, and it is connecting to the ultimate source, and as it refers to abundance. So I just want to make sure, Jasmine, can you hear me here on Facebook as well? Like, are you good? Okay, awesome. All right. So as it refers to the connection, like the ultimate source of connection. So we've talked all week about the story in First Kings chapter 17 about the woman who was getting ready to, cook her last meal for her and her son, and then die until Elijah showed up and introduced her to a life of abundance. And it was a drought in the land for everybody. A drought in the land, but Elijah actually lived outside of that drought because of his understanding and who he was connected to. And so that's what we want to talk about today, is that connection, the connection to the source, the ultimate source of abundance. And so, as we mentioned not last week, yesterday, that abundance is a lifestyle. Abundance is not what you have. Like, abundance is not the things that you can buy. It's not the things that you attain, but it's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's the way that you move and operate in life. And so I think, like, day one, I asked the question, how often do you go in the kitchen and you say you don't have anything to eat, but what you're really saying is, I don't want to cook what's in there. Or you look in your closet and you say, I don't have anything to wear, but the closet is full of clothes, right? So we look at abundance in the aspect of finances, things, or where we feel like we may be lacking in. Okay. And so today, I think we're posing this question first, Jasmine, the question of why are how often are you restricting your ideas or the things that you're asking for? How often do you restrict the things that you ask for? So you may ask for it, right? You may ask for something, but then because of your beliefs, because of what you've been through, because of your experiences, you put that in a box and you don't actually allow what you want to actually expand and bring in the abundance that you deserve, or that God really really wants to give you. Um, is that right, Jazz? That's what we're doing. Go ahead, Jazz.
So
Yeah.
that's what the brink of our talk is today, is the brink of abundance. Entering into the idea of like moving past limitations and boundaries. So Alicia, we've talked about the woman literally making her last meal, that she thought she was gonna literally eat it and die for her and her family, but her life ended up changing when she came across a person that literally expanded her mindset. So with that, we want to always give you other stories, right? So me and Alicia talked about this amazing story by Abraham Hicks. If you do not know who she is, go ahead and type her name into YouTube. Her messages will bless your soul, okay? But literally what Alicia is literally talking about when it comes down to the idea of, the connection to the source, and the idea of, what is it that you're magnifying? What is it that you're giving all of your attention to? There's a talk that Abraham Hicks does, and she says, stop focusing on the issue. And for some of us, that issue could be money, it could be food. I apologize, we got kids in the background, so you might hear them. But even with that, it might be money, it might be food. It's whatever you see as the immediate thing that is a deficit. She says her talk is brilliant because she says, stop focusing on that issue. And by saying stop focusing on the issue, she's not telling you to do away with the thing, right? She doesn't want you to ignore reality. But her whole main topic is that when you when you magnify the issue, you literally stop all the ideas, all the results, and all the things that are attached to solving that problem or solving that issue. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the story that she gives, right? And then I'll make sure, if you want the link, go ahead and back channel me link, because I can send you the link to the actual video. So basically what she does is she has someone come to her and they say their problem is money. They need more money. That is what the issue is. And they're like, well, even when they get ideas to produce money, immediately when they start thinking, start trying to implement the idea becomes stifled. And it's like we all have been, I want to take a step back, right? We all have been in situations where we had, we needed something, we wanted something. So we started creating ideas and opportunities for ways that we can solve the issue. But it don't always go as planned, and it don't always work out the way that we wanted it to work out. So when it came down to that concept, she introduced this thing that says, the idea that if the issue blooms and it's big enough, the idea will get stifled because now you're using it as a solution to an issue instead of embracing the idea of what could come from that idea. So she says a couple of things to him, and I'm going to break it down in keys, right? The first key that she says is, she says, you need to crave freedom, not money. You need to crave freedom, not the thing that you're desiring. Crave freedom, not the thing that you're looking for. And the reason why she says this is because when we think of the idea of freedom, it opens us up to the expansion of everything we could possibly want. So I'm going to give you a definition of freedom, right? Because sometimes when we look at freedom as being free from a thing, instead of the idea that I am free to do, be, and have whatever I want. So when you're looking at abundance, the whole idea of abundance is freedom. You want, and I want you to take a step back and think about it. When we're saying we want more money, we're saying literally, I want more freedom to buy whatever I want. I want the freedom to go wherever I want. I want the freedom to do whatever I want. I want the freedom to eat whatever I want, whenever I want, at whatever time I want. I want the freedom to be on a Clubhouse meeting whenever I want. I want the freedom to do all this. That is what we're asking for. The root of what we're asking for is freedom of our time, of our existence, freedom of everything, right? Freedom, just the freedom to be all that God called you to be. But what ends up happening is, because we don't say what the root of the thing is, we don't say what we really want, we put a surface on it. So we say, I need money, because if I get money, then I can do some of those things, or I can be some of those things. But then we don't talk about, how money can literally make people stay, we don't talk about how money can keep you bound and how you can get into debt. We don't talk about any of those things, right? But if we just were truthful with ourselves and said that I want freedom, I want freedom so that I can be, do, and have all that I am, all that I want. That's what I want. I want freedom. It's not that I want more money. I want freedom. I want freedom to love, freedom to go wherever I want. So I'm going to hone in on this. When you think about abundance, you should automatically equate abundance with freedom. And the reason is this: when you're free to make the decisions and have multiple choices in life, you're then able to not only be your creative, you're not only able to step into things that you thought that you didn't have the opportunity to, but you're also expanding in literally have an expansion in your mindset and all that you are, right? So Alicia hit on a couple of things. When we think about abundance, I want you to think of three things. And once I say these three things, I'm going to pass the mic back to Alicia so that we can go back and forth. But when you think of abundance, I want you to, one, think of freedom. Freedom to literally have, do, and be all that you desire. all that you crave so that you are free. The other thing I want you to think of, I want you to think of freedom. Stop putting it as an external thing. You are abundant. Stop when I think freedom as well. But when we start thinking about abundance, the second thing I want you to do when you're thinking about abundance outside of freedom is stop equating it to external factors. You are abundant. You are abundant. The very essence of who you are is abundance. Right? So it's an identity thing. And then it's also the expansion thing, right? And the last thing I want you to do when you start thinking about abundance is I want you to literally rid yourself of the limitations, right? A lot of times when we're saying we want the abundant life, we go straight to materialistic things. We go straight to the concept of trying to fill the deficit of what we don't have, but clear the restrictions, because then once you clear the restrictions, you're able to creatively flow to be in that abundance. So I'm going to close my mic and I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Alicia.
Okay, good. Okay, so this is good, Jasmine. So now here's where I want to take them, right? So the first thing is you talked about freedom, being that decision, being free to make decisions, okay? And so the first thing I want to bring out of that is what's dictating your decisions? Okay? So your core, when you go back and think about your core values, your belief system, and again, your experiences, what is dictating your decisions? And so if we can think about that, we can begin to think about, why do we become stifled? And I was bringing up the topic of a lot of times we don't move forward because someone has told us that this didn't work, or we've been told that, oh, that's bad, or, so we don't expand our knowledge and our experience based off of, what people have told us and how we grew up. Right. So how do you base, that's the question. How do you base that? What do you base your decisions on? Okay. So then the next thing is when you brought up the stop focusing on the external and recognize that you are abundance. So let's take that back to the whole topic of today is connecting you back to the ultimate source. The understanding that you are abundance has to deal with understanding whose you are and who you became created, who created you and how he created you, right? So the Bible talks about how we are the image of God, right? We were made in his image. And that's not body, because God is not a body. Like, God is not a being. So when we think of like the image, I know a lot of people think of a bodysuit. But what it really comes down to, being made in his image is being made in his likeness, in his glory, in the fact that he's creative, and the fact of all of the things that God made you in his likeness and in his image. And therefore, he made you also abundant, right? Okay, so when we can understand whose we are, we can then begin to operate and make decisions based off of whose we are. A lot of us still think that we are our parents' child. And okay, on the world surface, yes, we are our parents' child. But at the end of the day, before you were brought to this earth, you belong to God, and you still belong to God. Why do you think we have baby dedication? Like, let's take that serious. But you know what I mean? Like, we are offered back to God, right? So with that being said, understanding your abundance and where that comes from, and then taking the limits off. So because of the decisions, and because we don't necessarily understand whose we are, because we still are thinking, we're still thinking on this low vibration. We're still thinking on what we can see, and what we can see are our parents in front of us. And so our decisions are dictated based off that. But if we can raise up our mind and raise up our thoughts to understand that we belong to God, then we begin to start stripping ourselves of the limitations. We begin to believe bigger. We believe to know and understand that whatever we put our mind to, that's what we can do. But here's the other side about knowing who you are. Here's the other side about understanding that you belong to God. Is that whenever God spoke, God created. Whatever God said, it came to life, right? And so if your speech or your speaking does not line up with where you want to go, or you're speaking your problem all the time. I gave the analogy of a long time ago. A man walks into a restaurant. The server walks up to him and says, "What do you want?" He says, "I'm hungry," right? Because that's his problem. She says, "Okay, what do you want?" "I'm hungry," right? So yes, the server knows that he's hungry, but how can that server solve that problem if he's only focusing on the problem? So we have to begin to change our speech and begin to take the limits off of where we can go and where our solution comes from. Because right now we think that our solution comes from, like what Jasmine said, from money, right? I need more money. I need to go get a third, second, fifth job, right? But ultimately, God, of course, sends ideas. But if we can live in the freedom of the idea, and Jasmine, did you say the emotion of the idea? Live in the emotion of the idea and not focus so much on the money aspect of it, you will go so much farther if you just live in the moment of creation, live in the moment of being a creator and feeling the joys of being in that space. So that's what I mean by taking the limits off. So Jasmine, thank you so much for bringing in those 3 points and those 3 keys, because that definitely connected us right back to the ultimate source. So Jasmine, I see you moving over there. So go ahead, jump in.
Girl, I'm over here bubbling. Okay, hold on, wait, pause. So let me do a quick reset for Clubhouse. You are in the Intentional Success Tribe. We did a brief introduction of the Intentional Success Tribe, but if you're not a part of this club, go ahead and click the green house above, and also DM me the word success so that I can send you the Intentional Success Tribe link, so you can connect to us on Clubhouse, but also on Facebook. So that is our reset, and we are tuning in for Hey Sis, Show Up For You, where we are talking all about abundance, and our main topic of today is connecting to the source. So I want to recognize that the amazing Deanna Jean is on the stage, and we've done her introduction as well. So she is the powerful creator of the Intentional Success Tribe. So we want to give you your flowers and also recognize you on the stage. So jumping into this topic, Alicia, you have me over here bubbling. We're going to have to, I've been thinking this for the last couple of days, we're going to have to do a signal on Facebook for us, like, tap me in, coach, tap me in. But literally, when you were saying literally God made us in his image, it literally there is no lack in God. There is nothing about God is lack. So like, if we're made in God's image, when did we get this concept that we lack something or that we needed something? Like it goes back to this whole concept. So it goes back to a concept and to a mindset. But so that I don't get stuck on that point, because y'all know I can go in on topics. I want to bring something to the focus, right? Bring it up to like magnify it. So some of the things that Alicia talked about was dealing with the reality, right? So it's dealing with the reality, but then it's also knowing yourself. So as you know, or if you don't know, now you know, we are literally spirit, we have a soul, and we have this body. This body is the only thing that is limited. I won't say limited, you all, because honestly, your body as a system, it can produce and do so much that we don't even know about. But that's a whole nother topic in itself, right? But this body is the only thing that is constricted by time. Your spirit and your soul does not have a time capsule on it. So when it comes down to the idea of us talking last week, we introduced the topic that if you knew you were spirit first, you would operate differently and show up differently in the world, because you'll know the different things that are available to you and how you show up. But the thing is, because we have not been conditioned or talked to about our spirit, we've always been talked to about our being on earth. is we've lost a breach of identity. Like we don't know how to identify ourselves as spirit. So it's a learning process, which they call it a journey that you have to go through. And that whole thing brings it back up, right? So when I talked about Abraham Hicks, right? So Abraham Hicks believes these three things. She believes that, for a whole being of a person, you have an emotional side, you have a vibrational side, and you have a reality side, right? Your reality is literally everything that you're seeing on earth. So if you're strictly just looking at your life reality based, you're always going to focus on what is, or like I used to say this all the time as a kid, I'm just going to tell the truth and you need to face the facts. But the honest reality is there are so many things that if we just stay reality based, we miss out on the possibilities of what could be and what we could create. So the idea of concept, and we put it as one of the questions. So if you have not clicked on the link above, we literally, you can click this link and save it. It is literally some of the things that we'll start doing for Hey Sis Show Up for you. So let me take a step back, rewind. So when it comes down to that link, click on that link because it gives you access to some inner work, right? So let's do some inner work. The inner work questions that we have on there is what has been created from your belief? What do you want to add to reality, right? Because the thing is, we live in reality, but we haven't been conscious that the whole purpose of us on earth is to add to reality, to create a thing, to do whatever we're purposed to do on earth. So what do you want to add to reality? Then we also talk about, is your belief blocking your desires? Because if you're only looking at things, if your belief is that you need to live by reality, you're always going to be stuck in what you see and not what you could be, like the possibilities of a thing, right? So the example of that is like, if your belief is you don't have any money, 9 times out of 10, you're going to keep looking at your bank account. You're going to keep looking at your bills. You're going to get overwhelmed and stressed and panic because you're only looking at one thing. You have magnified the problem. But when you take a step back and you literally magnify the possibilities, it's a possibility I could create a business, a possibility I could sell this gift, a possibility that I could produce, a possibility that I could literally expand this idea. When you do that, you take a step back so that you're not blocking the desires of what you want, which is to have your needs and to have your dreams met. You're literally creating a sense where your beliefs and your desires are literally on the same pathway. So then the other question we have on there is, how often are you restricting your desires by the limits of putting things in boxes? Even yourself. When Alicia was talking, she said something super powerful. She said, there are times in our lives where literally, and I'm paraphrasing, there are times in our lives where we've put limits and put constrictions on what we can be and who we can be. But when you start taking those definitions off of yourself, you are not just a mother. You are not just a sister. You're not just a wife. You're not just an entrepreneur. You're not just you're a complex being because you're a spirit first. God is a complex thing. We try to define him, and every time we try to define him, we literally find ourselves only seeing God in the light of how we defined him. But when we take the descriptions and the definitions off of him, that is when we literally can expand our concepts and know the true revelation of God. Like so many of us know God as Father. We know God as Savior. We know God as Jesus. But when you take the restrictions off of God and let him be a true being, you literally see what he can manifest and literally what he is. He reveals himself. Imagine if you took the restrictions off of yourself. Took the restrictions off, I'm just a pastor, I'm just a minister, I'm just a healer. If you took the restrictions off, you will be amazed what you could do and be when you enter people's lives. You could be anything. There are times where I've literally been in situations. I've been known as you're a therapist, you're a case manager, you're an advocate, you're an ambassador. I am who that person needs at that moment in that time in their life. And that's the same way. If you would take the restrictions off of God, you will be able to connect to him, because then you're not looking at him through one lens of a source, but you're looking to him as a whole being. A whole thing. It's so much complex. But I'm over here bubbling and I've been talking for a minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic back to Alicia. I didn't give y'all all my material, but I'm gonna pass the mic back to Alicia on that one.
Okay. All right, Jasmine. So that little end point right there. All right. Okay, this is what that came up for me when you said that. It immediately took me to Moses as the Israelites were leaving out of Egypt, right? And so before that happened, God had called Moses using a bush, called Moses to him and was like, hey, listen, I want you to go and free these people. Moses asked, well, who do I say sent me? And Moses or God said, listen, tell them I am sent you. Okay, don't be trying to put me in a box. I am sent you. All right, so what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean, God? I am. Well, that means that I am. So whenever you go talk to Pharaoh, who you need me to be in that time, when you talk to Pharaoh, that's who I am. Whenever those people start to doubt you and you need to call back on me to give you strength and to show them what you need, I am. When you get to the waters and it looked like there's no other path and your enemy is pulling up on you, I am. When you get and pass through and then you look and you see that it might be a drought in your life, guess what? I am. By God being I am, that's what allows the abundance to come in, because he did not tell you that he was anything in particular. What he said was I am. And that allows room for the abundance, because whatever you need as you are going through your process of life, when you are living in your purpose, when you're going through all of the things that God that not when you're going through all the tribulations, trials, and trying to get here, trying to get there, God, it will always be I am. And that's how we should be living in our life, as I am, and not being restricted to, well, you know what, when I was growing up, my father or my mother said that I was supposed to be doing this, and living through your mother's eyes and dreams and all of that. No, you need to open yourself up and become I am. That's what you need to do, living in abundance. And then let me tell you the difference. There's a mindset here that I also want to go to, speaking about Moses and the Israelites. I want you to understand that as they came out, they were still restricted in their thoughts. And so God had them go around for 40 years, because when it came to going into the land of milk and honey, they did not have the mindset of I am. They were still restricted in slavery. So God had to kill off the diseased generation so that the new generation that would believe in I am would come forth, so that that disease would not pass on into the legacy of what is today. So listen, guys, this goes deep. This goes so deep. So that's all I wanted to say when you said that, Jasmine. So go ahead and
okay, so literally, okay, I'm over here clowning on Facebook. So for those that see me fall out in my tail on Facebook, it was real over here in that moment. It was real. But even with what you were saying, like, the thing about it is, when we go through different seasons in our life, when we go through like those trials and tribulations, when we go through those storms, it's literally, it allows God to reveal himself in the way that you need him at that moment. So like, I want you to think about what are some of the things that you're dealing with right now, right? And to ask yourself the questions, what is it that you need God to show up as? What is it? Because the idea is, if you look throughout the Bible, God is always revealing himself piece by piece. Like, everybody has a different a saying. Like, we have so many names of God, and those are the many revelations. But it's not even, the thing is, we think that everything that's in the Bible, everything that's in a book is the end to what God can reveal himself as, because we put him in those boxes. But when you release yourself, you literally give yourself space for God to show up the way he needs to show up in your life today, right now, and at this moment. So even with it being that, I want to take a step back and be honest and transparent. When you release yourself from the definitions that you put on yourself, imagine how much of a powerful creator you will be. Imagine how powerful of a being you will be if you literally eliminated all of the things. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you ever to, like, say, disassociate from a thing, or to dismiss it or downplay it, because the roles that we play and the roles that we have in our lives today, they're important, right? But there is so much more to you, and there is so much more in you. So when as you're waking up today, right now, and as you're sitting on this motivational talk, like, literally having the belief and knowing, have faith and know that there is more in you, and that there is more for you. You are so much more than your past. You're so much more than what you're perceiving for your present. You're so much more than even the dreams that you have for your future. The idea of a future and the dreams that we have, they're just little, they're little desires, right? Little peaks or glimpses of what God is literally saying. This is something you have the option of standing into or coming into, right? Or even idea, this is your now. Like, there is so much more. And that's why the Bible uses this verse that, no one has seen the plans that he has for you. No one knows the promises that he has for you. Like, everything that we think that is like golden or the top of our peak, like that's only the tip of the iceberg of what God is literally saying he can do in your life. Like, the tip of the iceberg. So what is it that you dream? What is it that you desire? What is it that's more in you? What are some of the things that you literally said, you know what, I'm no more of that. I can't do that anymore. And then go back and add those things back to your list. Like, so if you look at my bio right now, I got a whole list of things that I am. And the thing is, and I ended, I didn't say, and this it, and I said, and so much more. I put all of the titles that I have. I started off with just saying, I am. Hey, with the emoji. But literally, when you look at that list, it's not an end. It's not a period to say this is where it stops. It's literally saying there's ... because it's a continuation, because there's so much more that God wants to do in my life and in your life as it continues to go, because we have things to birth in the earth, literally in the earth. So with that being said, I'm gonna stop. But I'm gonna leave y'all with this, right? Because we're wrapping up on our 30 minutes for Facebook, right? So go, if you haven't clicked on that link, you definitely want to click on it, right? Because we leave you with some inner work so that you can do some reflection, whether that's through journaling, through whatever creative flow. So you can journal, dance, write, video blog, draw, art, all of that stuff. Whatever your creative flow of choice is for that moment, you can literally go take those questions and literally create whatever you want, content and all. If you got a book brewing in you, there you go. It might be the topic of your next book. You never know. But we want to leave you with some affirmations too to declare in your day. So the affirmations that we have for you right now, and you can click on that link and have it, is I am a powerful creator. I am blessed to have options and choices. I can choose whatever I want. I have the access to everything that divinely belongs to me. I embrace the freedom that I have in my life. Literally, those are affirmations to even embrace. Even if you want to take it out and just use the simple things. I am powerful. I am free. I am blessed. I can choose. I am choice. I am. Like, literally, take the step back to literally take those things and reflect back. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Actually, no. I'm going to go ahead and literally let Alicia talk, and then I'll come back up and then invite people to the stage for Clubhouse.
Come back here to you all and just hear what you all have to say. So go ahead, Jasmine, and begin to invite everyone up. All right, Facebook, thank you so much for joining us. I am so happy that you guys could join in and listen in, and I thank you for sharing your thoughts of what Jasmine and I have been doing. There's going to be a lot of great things coming. I think I say that all the time, but it's always a lot of great things just because we live in abundance. And so we flow in the ideas, and we don't put limits. We don't put limits on God, nor do we put limits on ourselves. So that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining in again. My name is Alicia Richardson. That's Jasmine. And we will talk to you all. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow. Have a great day.